ARK Ranked. We're back for another ranked video on the ARK. We're doing top 10 best carnivores in the game. So without further ado, let's not mess around and let's get straight into it. Coming in at number 10 is going to be the Giga, and I almost didn't add it to the list because it's definitely a very PvP oriented dinosaur, and of course it can rage potentially and knock you off and kill you and your own creatures, so that's not really ideal. However, it was added because it does have its uses. It is the best meat runner in the game, extremely good at gathering hide, and it does have a very good use at defending orbital supply drops from the extinction map. And of course it is a Giga. If you're new to the ARK and see this dinosaur in the wild, it is definitely one you'll be wanting to tame. Coming in at number 9 is the Spinosaurus. It is a very versatile mount with its high health, high damage and high oxygen stat, being an extremely fast dinosaur on land and pretty nimble in the water. You can use it in all scenarios, being able to use two stances, bipedal and quadrupedal. Bipedal stance makes its movement speed slower, however it can attack twice as quickly with its claw attack and have a very small turn radius. And of course quadrupedal stance makes the Spino extremely fast on land. The Spinosaurus also gets a hydration buff when it comes into contact with water, which will increase its movement speed by 20%, attack damage by 15% and health regeneration by 25%, and will even last 30 seconds after it leaves the water. It's also quite a handy boss fighter, especially with the Broodmother boss, as there is water in the arena and you get the extra damage and health buffs. Coming in at number 8 is going to be the Allosaurus. Probably the strongest pack dinosaur in the game, and for good reason. Although not strong when compared to other carnivores like the Spino or the Rex, when just as a lone Allosaurus, but the strength comes in their pack dynamics. When in a group of 2 to 3, the highest level Allosaur will receive the pack leader buff, which comes with 33% increase in attack damage. The pack leader will have the ability to use the bleed effect, which will drain 5% health over time off the target you are attacking. Although this ability is one of the longer ones to complete when comparing to other creatures that have the ability to bleed out their targets, it is also the only one that slows the target for the duration of the bleed. And of course, the more you tame, the more alphas you can have in the pack, which give more bleed on top of this. The only downside is the bleed does not work against bosses, however they still can be utilised in boss fights because of their pack bonuses. They are extremely good at taking down bigger targets when in their packs, and through my Genesis Part 1 experience, I have found that it is an extremely strong brute predator hunter, as it can inflict the bleed on the brute predators on the Genesis Part 1 hunt missions, although probably wouldn't recommend taking on the wild Giga, even though it is possible to take it down. Coming in at number 7 we have the Thylacoleo. Maybe one of the smaller carnivores on this list. The Thyla is obviously a lot smaller, so with a cryopod you can fit it in pretty much every cave in the game. With a decent amount of health, high damage and very good agility, make for great traversal tames around the map, being able to climb redwood trees, vertical structures and any other tough terrain, and ambush small to medium creatures below. It shares similar qualities as the Allosaurus, as they do have the Nash effect also. However, their Nash effect is a lot stronger in a way, as you don't need a pack to inflict the bleed, whereas the Allosaurus takes 10 seconds to bleed out their target. The bleed on the Thyla only takes 5 seconds to bleed for 5% of the health of their target. Once again, an extremely good creature for killing dinosaurs 50 times their size. Using it on Titanosaurs is a really good tactic. You can use the Thyla to bleed most of its health and finish it off with any creature you'd like to level up, or your survivor, to gain all that ridiculous amount of XP. Coming in at number 6 we have the Argentavis, the jack of all trades flyer. A very versatile mount, high health, high damage, very high weight for a flyer, is an extremely good creature to use for any type of scenario, and not that difficult to tame. I think for the most part everyone tames an Argentavis mainly so they can traverse the map with extra weight which make them extremely useful for farming metal and heavy resources. It does have a lot of weight reductions for these heavy resources, as you can see, and because they can pick up pretty much any creature up to a drag weight of an Anklo and a Doedicurus. It can be used as a mobile smithy, and as of now can repair armor, which it could not when it was first released into the game. Extremely good at taking down bigger creatures than itself, even Alpha Rexes, and with the rapid regeneration, it makes prolonged fights a lot easier to handle, as it will give the Argentavis extremely fast health regeneration and stamina regeneration for the time shown in the top right corner of the screen. This buff lasts for 20 seconds every time the Argentavis consumes a corpse. Being able to carry 2 creatures at once, one in its beak, which they can pick up smaller creatures with, and in their claws, where they can pick up the larger creatures. This can make for taming creatures extremely easy, turning difficult to tame creatures into a breeze. In at number 5 we have the Yutyrannus. Definitely one of the best support dinosaurs in the game, boasting 2 different raw abilities. The Courage Raw temporarily boosts the attack damage of allied creatures by 25% and reduces incoming damage by 20%, which can be useful in massive battles. The Intimidation and the Fear Raw is the other raw it is equipped with. It terrifies most creatures smaller than the Yutyrannus. Creatures affected by this will take more damage and deal less damage, and will not respond to commands. This Fear Raw can be quite valuable for taming creatures if you want to save on your tranks, as affected creatures will take more torpor damage. All in all, this makes the Yutyrannus the most valuable asset in the boss fight. You'll almost never see any boss fight without a Yutyrannus in their party. Coming in at number 4 we have the Snow Owl. These things are absolute beast when it comes to PvE quality. It is faster than a Pteranodon, as it does have a dive ability like the Griffin, and if you do smash the ground, it doesn't damage the creatures, it will just stun them. It can be used to support other tames on the ground. It makes for a great scout, as it does have an infrared ability, which makes it extremely easy to spot anything that's difficult to spot in low light conditions, especially beehives for example, as they will show up extremely easy in this vision. It is an extremely valuable asset when taming creatures. I'm pretty sure we've all come across that max level herbivore that we all want to tame, but he's been absolutely destroyed by a load of carnivores in the wild and he's literally 1 HP. No problem for the Snow, you can heal all your herbivores at your leisure with the heal ability. This heal ability will drain the stamina of the Snow Owl. Be careful not to use it in a bad scenario. This also works extremely well for healing players, and it's probably the best and quickest way to heal a player in the game. Of course, the heal can also be used on tame creatures. Also, their poop is a Snow Owl pellet, which is the best gacha food to produce loot, and of course makes great fertilizer for your plants. The only downside is, unlike the Argentavis or any flyers of its size, it cannot pick any creatures up with its claws. Coming in at number 3 is going to be the Wyvern. There is not many flyers that can rival its toughness, strength and speed in the air. It is also incredibly strong fighting from the ground. There are 8 tameable variants of Wyverns: fire, lightning, poison and ice from the first few original maps. Tropical Crystal Wyvern, Blood Crystal Wyvern and the Ember Crystal Wyvern, all exclusive to the Crystal Isles map. They are also 25% smaller but are slightly faster than the original 4 Wyvern variants. Last one is the Void One, exclusive to Genesis Part 2. All come with their own unique colours and breath attacks. Of course, they do also have the ability to pick up larger creatures than what most flyers in the game can pick up, only topped by the Quetzal. It is also quite a handy gatherer and can gather a few unique resources like charcoal from burnt trees from the maps like Ragnarok, the Center or Crystal Isles, and cactus sap from the cactus trees in the scorched earth areas on a wide variety of maps. And I can safely say there's no better feeling than discovering that high level egg you've been searching for so long, throwing it down and hatching your little baby. And now we can breed and mutate these wyverns. They can be turned into even more deadlier killing machines. Coming in at number 2 we have the T-Rex, and even though ARK has been out for at least 6 years now, there are still very few carnivores that can rival the Rex's power and damage, with the only downsides of it being bulky and having a turning radius of a bus. It's a small price to pay for what they bring to a tribe. Most likely the first pick for a boss fight back in the day, it is still highly picked by most tribes for the boss fights, minus the dragon. And with the support of Yutyrannus and Nadons, they can make short work of any boss. Making it to the top spot on the list is going to be the Shadowmane, exclusive to Genesis Part 2. This awesome creature is probably one of the most versatile and strongest in the game for their abilities alone. Once tamed, they are the only bareback ridden creature in the game that has a natural armor rating. They do also come equipped with a debuff and reflective armor. This debuff is applied to any attackers that land a hit on it for 7 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. It appears as a pink cloud shrouding the attacker and does about 10 damage a tick, and will decrease damage done to your Shadowmane. This armor debuff can even affect bosses. With an array of abilities ranging from being able to jump extremely high and far with its charge jump ability. While its bite and claw attack deals average damage, it does have a charge bar for consecutive strikes, and once this reaches a glowing purple colour, it means it's ready to do the finishing strike, which can deal 4 times the regular damage. If the target is killed with that blow, it will fully recharge instantly. The males and females have their unique pack buffs. The male has a roar that will boost all nearby allied survivors and creatures for 30 seconds. All boosted allies will recover 50 stamina and torpidity per second, and have their speed increased by 50%. Damage will also be doubled for full male poison. There is a 28-second cooldown for this roar, and sometimes they will get a second buff which can potentially increase the melee damage of the Shadowmanes. This roar can only be used while they are mate boosted. The females have the ability to cloak, which can be extremely useful for a lot of scenarios. Can be used to cloak itself while not being mate boosted, and while being mate boosted, holding the cloak activation key down will also cloak every ally within 20 meters, regardless of size, minus a small few. They are also ridiculously fast in war and receive the hydration buff, which is the same buff the Spino gets while touching water. And they also do not have an oxygen stat, so they are very capable being used underwater. And if that wasn't enough for you, there is also a stun attack, which does a small amount of damage but can briefly stun targets for 8 seconds. You could take a female Shadowmane through the Caverns of Lost Hope, which is one of the most difficult caves in the game, completely hidden. Just get to the artifact and just swim back out without even being noticed. You can wield your weapon while riding, and you can have a friend on the back in the passenger seat also doing the same, so it makes taming a lot of creatures very easy. With its high damage and high health pool, it makes for a perfect boss fighter in any arena. In summary, all of this contributes to the Shadowmane being one of the strongest creatures in the whole of the ARK world. Once again, another extremely annoying and difficult creature to tame in the wild. However, like most creatures, we can breed these also, and we can make babies. That is also going to be the end of the video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care, goodbye.